Oh, good afternoon, it's Paul again. Working on some radios. The radio that we have here is the Kenwood TS50 and Kenwood AT50, which have both been cosmetically restored and returned to factory standard when it comes to the TS50. It's taken 4 radios to produce one radio to my standard, which includes a microphone that I'm very happy with. It still needs a tiny bit of a detail and it will be 100%. Fitted a new handle to it, 2 new brackets to the radio, and also onto the AT50. Just been going through and setting up the menus. It's full power at 100 watts. Very, very sensitive receivers these. I do have a bit of a soft spot for them. This one has not had the Mars cap mod done, which is one of my preferences on these radios. I have also replaced the memory battery in this, and also the problem that these radios suffer from now is that the foams behind all that's holding in all of these switches, push button switches, is foam in behind the front fascia, which we're going to talk about today. Just bear with us. How many of you have been working or talking on your radio and you move it to do something else and you find a button on your desk and it's come out of here, out of one of the slots for the TS50? Well, that's what I'm going to work on today. I'm going to show you a perfect fix for this. It's a foolproof fix. They'll never fall out again, and it involves removing the residue of the foam from the back. And what we are going to use, and if you have this problem and you need to source, I will show you the items that you need. So I sourced mine off AliExpress, and the reason I did that is that this box of various different jewellery rings is because it came with pliers and also a nice set of tweezers as well. But that's what you need to source from the various different social media, eBay, AliExpress, maybe Amazon, I don't know. It's roughly around about Australian, around about $15 Australian for all of these, and it's very cheap versus trying to source the non-existent foam pads that go in, and that's not a perfect fix. So I'll just turn you around. Alright, so the radio we're going to be working on today as a educational video is this one here. And what you're going to need for this job is obviously you're going to need a Phillips head, various Phillips head screwdrivers, a 1.5mm hex head for the Allen key on the VFO. You're going to need tweezers, obviously long nose pliers. You're going to need your kit of jewellery rings and some insulation tape. Okay, when you remove the VFO with your 1.5mm hex head, be careful of this. Do not lose this paper thin washer for the clutch mechanism, and remember that goes back pointed down. You can't really miss it. There's a you can see that there is a gap here and here for that to go back into. But anyway, I've covered up the display with the electrical tape to stop any of the buttons from moving forward. And This also exposes your memory battery here. It's always good practice that if you haven't ever replaced your memory battery to actually do it, but you never ever do it with it hooked up to power. Alright, so you need to remove the solder here and here. It's a very simple case of putting the negative back on the negative side and positive back on the positive side. I don't need to tell you guys how to do it. It's very straightforward. Let's see. Other common issues with these is when used out of band, you'll find that on the low pass filter circuit you may find some tarnish in the toroids. And in particular when it's used on 11 meters, I've had to actually remove, rewind, or just buy low pass filters with the toroids on them for that. Anyway, enough of that. We're not here for that today. Today we're here for fixing the button problem. Alright, so this is now flipped. When you're releasing the front panel, there is 2 tabs on the top and 2 on the bottom. You start by, I always move it forward to the edge, lift, and then underneath on the same tabs, I'll just rotate it. Okay, so here we are, the same tabs. You lift up there. It's not always good, I've got to get a tripod. Anyway, you lift those and the whole panel moves forward. Just bear with us. Right, the table's laid out with the various tools. The front cover's off. We've got our compartment full of different rings and tools that are needed. Now, I was mentioning earlier on about what happens in here. Now, this looks okay, this one, you might say. But when we go in, I'll zoom you in, and you go, oh, I'll just remove the foam. Look what happens. And it goes into an oily type finish. Okay, you just can't remove it. Not when these things are like 20 years old plus. Okay, so the best thing is you need to remove all that foam from the switches, and you can see here it's just sticking to the tweezers. So I'm going to go through and remove all of the foam from all of the switches, and I will clean that area. When I have more, I'll show more. Okay, that's clean. At least clean up for the next stage. You can see here all of the mess it creates. I'm not too sure of the chemical composition of this foam, but it seems to be reverting itself back to liquid petroleum or oil. Anyway, okay, so the next stage is to start putting the rings on. So you're going to prepare this by moving your cleaning materials out of the way and start setting yourself up for the next stage. Now I'm going to get a sample button and show you what we're going to do. Okay, so for the purpose of this, I'm using the RIT buttons on the lower panel. They're slightly on the larger side, but you're going to do the same with the small silver keys, which are in, which are underneath the power switch down this side, and then you've got your A/B switches and all of that down this side. So they're smaller, a lot more fiddlier, and you're going to use the smaller rings for that. So how you do it is you're going to be putting the ring around this space here. So the point of the exercise is, before you start, you measure the spring size. That's how I do it. And then you open the spring up and you're going to slide that on underneath until it's around it, and then you're going to use the long nose pliers to close that. So I'll just do that now. So that's what it's going to look like in the panel. Now you don't take this is purely for representation to show you what we're about to do. So that is now closed. There is no way that you can remove that button out through the front panel of the radio. So I'm going to put those aside and we're going to start work on that now. Alright, so this is very, very fiddly, and we do it with the buttons already in the system. So I'll start by selecting, I'll do these lower 6 buttons here, and I'll start by selecting another 5 of those, opening them all up, and then start putting them on there. Okay, rings are opened up, you see that, and for the next stage you're going to pick a ring up and you're going to put it this is where it's a bit fiddly, but you're going to put it around the button like that, and then turn it around until it points up like that. And then we're going to get the pliers and close that gap. Now this takes a bit of confidence. You can't fuck anything up. Whoops, pardon the French. Sorry YouTube. Just bear with us. And there you go, number 1 done. Now there is no way that you can push that out now. This should have been done at factory, but then it would have been a lot more laboursome for the factory to do that. Alright, so I'm going to finish those and show you what it looks like. It's a bit of trial and error, but what I do is I use the tweezers when I've got 2 hands, push that against the bottom edge, and then come in with the long nose pliers and press those together. Okay, there we go. All of those buttons are now fixed. And if we lift it up, you can see there is no way of pushing those buttons out. Okay. Now, there's enough spring on the clips. You will not notice that this has been done. It will just feel like factory. Only you will never have any surprises. Alright, I'm going to continue on with the larger buttons, which are all these along the top edge here. The on and off switch and the mode switches down here, which take a slightly smaller ring. So I'll keep going on that and show you the silver ones after that's all been done. Alright, the top and bottom ones have been done. I've removed the plastic, the tape, and if we press on them, none of them come out anymore. And as you can see, you get full height on the switches. You can see them moving out. As I said, they'll look factory when it's finished. Alright, I'll turn it over and we'll start doing the silver ones. Alright, so you'll need 6 of the small ones for the silver one, and that's in compartment number 2. Going to open these up exactly the same way. Bit more fiddly. You may have 1 or 2 fly off onto the floor. Pick them up later unless you have pets around. I must say, a bit of housekeeping here. You are working with tweezers. Very easy to scratch this. The radio that I started off by showing you, I actually removed this and sanded that back and polished it. So that's the depth that I go to on these radios to restore my collection. Alright, I'll start opening those up with the tweezers, and I'll hold on to them now with my wire trimmers because they've got, as you can see, pliers at the end. Alright, I'll open those all up and prepare them for fitting. Okay, all 6 done, opened up, ready to fit to that 3 there and that 3 over there. Exactly the same process. This whole process will take you about an hour. As you can see, I'm just coming in from the side, closing them up, and see that's been done. Just be really careful of these because I can see people breaking. When you're using your pliers, just work on the metal only. Do not squeeze against the buttons in any way. Right, we're done. I've put all the rings on. I'll just remove the tape and show you from the other side. Okay, so there we go. That's the finished TS50 face. Now what I'm going to do is clean the whole lot with IPA, isopropyl alcohol, clean the inside and out, and then put it back on the front of the radio to show you how it all works as standard. Okay, so this is now finished. I've cleaned it. I've actually cleaned the display with some of my Aquasol. This is the one which we use on metal. It's a very fine white polish. Do be careful. You really don't get a second go at this when it comes to the faceplate. This one's pretty average, but I'm going to put it into my collection because you never know what's going to happen down the track at a later stage. But all of that's been done. It's cleaned inside. I'll just put it on the radio and show you how it works. Oh, we're just going to reverse the process. These just clip on, as you can see, the top and bottom clips. Very simple. Okay, front cover's clipped on. Okay. As you can see, and you can't pull them out. Okay. I'll just put the VFO back on, or BFO, whatever you want to call it, and just show you the finished radio. All this other stuff hasn't been detailed, so this is just a info video only. This radio does not work now. Alright, remember what I said about the clutch mechanism? There it is, sitting in its right place. This is a bit fiddly. The next stage, I generally turn the radio up on its end because the spring's got to go over that, and then you press on the knob whilst you do it up with your 1.5mm hex head. Alright, that's on. Go through, test every single button. Okay, if it doesn't work, you've got to pull it off, dismantle, and check why. Okay, this one here is generally the one which, when people are putting the cover back on this from working on them, they don't clip in the phone's connector right, and it doesn't allow that to touch the micro switch from behind. Alright, I'll put the covers on. Oh, another bit of housekeeping on these TS50s. If you ever get one and somebody has taken the lid off to show you that it's the condition of the unit, and the back RF shield to the low pass filter stage is missing screws or has screws rounded over, these are a countered sunk screw, an M2. If it's missing any of those, this radio is being played with. So just be mindful of that. if you're inspecting your radio or seeing it on the internet, red flag, big red flag. All right, continue to rebuild. All right, there you go. That's the finished TS50. Nice little hour and a half, and you'll thank yourself after after you've done that, because these are a fantastic radio. QRP, field days, all of that sort of stuff, 1.8 to 30 megs, 100 watts out, but the RX on these are just exceptional. They use the same stage as what's in the, what was it, they had a low-powered version of these. Anyway, it's back together. I can't turn it on because this one is defunct. And the purpose, as I said earlier, of this was to show you how to fix your TS50 permanently from the poor factory build of securing these push-button controls. Boring video. Hope you like it. It has purpose for those that don't know TS50. Thank you, and remember, you can do it. Pull apart Paul. Remember, comment, like, and subscribe. Cheers, guys. Alright, so back to watching a bit of listening, playing ham radio. We're on 20 metres at the moment, just listening to one of the nets. DX is a bit in and out at the moment, the conditions. Just running off the HB, what is it, the DX88, high gain, vertical, 8 band. Fantastic. In very tight situations. Alright, that net, it looks like it's gone. Digital. Oh, it's South Africa. No, JK. All right. All right, there you go. That's your lot for today. Thank you very much for staying with us.